our company is to deliver digital farming tools that drive sustainable improvement in productivity, efficiency, and food security across the food production chain. We're trying to cover a lot of ground with this vision, but basically we have to think about technologies of internet speed technologies, okay? Stop thinking linear technologies and start thinking about internet technologies. Think about how we run experiments in the internet. Think about how we share knowledge in the internet economy, okay? So our technology vision and how we think that the industry is going to evolve is that we're going to share farming knowledge the same way we share code today, okay? Across application, across scenarios, and I'm going to talk about this. But the main message is that digital farming, the role of digital farming is first and foremost to empower the individual farmer. After that, we can do many things with data. We can, distribute value across the value chain, but our initial task is to empower the farmer. And we're developing a platform. It's called GrowOS. Our current focus of this platform is to digitalize cultivation practices and personalize them, customize them to farm-specific context. Just to give you an example, farm management decisions and every decision that farmer takes during the season, whether it's schedules or soil quality, irrigation, like Richard mentioned earlier, impacts the bottom line yield and quality, okay? And we see this with data. We see the variability between farmers, and you can see farmers with the same microclimate, with same soil type, even the same variety, and they perform differently, okay? Some farmers produce 10 tons per acre. Some of them produce 5 tons per acre. Some of them had crop failure because of crop epidemic or something, and they lose the entire season. And the way we do that, and this is how we optimize, again, and the goal is to bring this optimization to the masses. We start with cultivation practices. There is lots of public knowledge out there. It's in PDFs, in websites, in forums. We have to find a structured manner to digitize these cultivation practices so we can distribute them at scale, make them available in every mobile phone, okay? This is the base layer, sorry. The second layer for more advanced farmers is to use farm devices, okay? We have irrigation systems, we have sensing systems, we have remote sensing systems, and we have to integrate all this data so we can provide a first layer of optimization, okay? If I know what's the soil moisture in the ground at every given moment, obviously I can treat irrigation much more accurately, and this is the entire promise of precision ag and the world of precision ag. The third element is to bring very deep learning of what the plant needs, okay? There are lots of layers of data that we need to bring. Soil, the specific variety, the specific plant, field variables, so this is another level. And the third level, the most deep level of optimization is what we call ag inference models and benchmarking, okay? Is really to learn what farmers are doing across farms, across geographies. This is the vision, what we talk about, we call it the biggest field experiment in the world, okay? If I'm growing peppers and another farmer who's a neighbor farmer is growing peppers, I want to understand what each farmer is doing so I can calibrate and find out what is the best optimization for all farmers, okay? How we can take the farmers who are medium performers and make them excellent, okay? This is the best optimization that we can think of. And there are three...
You have a presentation. It's not running.
Oh, I'm looking at it. I was assuming that... Okay.
I thought, can we go back?
Okay, yeah. I'll start all over again.
Yeah, no. I think you had just, this is your first and that was your second slide, right?
Yeah, so this was the first slide, okay? You see a nice farmer on the left. He gets the personalized cultivation protocols, and these are the layers of optimization that I just talked about. And this was, so how can we enable that with technology? There are 3 pillars that we are looking at. The first one is IoT and data integration. And Yossi, Professor Shacham showed a brilliant slide of all the different types of sensors of soil moisture. Now, robotics and hardware is going to play a pivotal role in the future of farming. But these markets are very fragmented, okay? We don't have a unified way to represent data. So are we going to train models and do all these AI, incredible AI things that we know if data is represented in different way, okay? So this is the first task, to provide scalable, universal way to represent data so that many smart people and the data scientists and the PhDs can build these models, and we'll have optimization models for irrigation, for pest management, for fertilization. There is no one size fits all. I'm talking about thousands and tens of thousands of machine learning models running in the cloud and optimizing farm operation, okay? So we have to enable that. And it will take a long time to build a protocol stack, just like we built it in the internet, okay? Build a protocol stack of how data is represented, okay? Different types of sensors, okay? So this is a very essential part. The second element is cloud and big data, and we call it the ability to infer what the farmer is doing and how it impacts the crop. There are various methodologies for doing that. We need very strong processing power to do that in real time. And the third layer is AI, artificial intelligence, BI technology, and the ability to learn across farms geographies. Just to give you an example, we looked at, we're collaborating with the biggest drip irrigation company in the world, and we looked at the data coming from their systems. They're already generating data, but they're not doing anything with that data. And you see the patterns of irrigation. You see that farmers are not irrigating on Shabbat, okay, on Saturday. And you really see the pattern. You see how they irrigate differently across crops, across geographies. And it's very interesting and educating to look at all this data. And this is, I think, the most important slide in my entire deck. Data is going to optimize the entire food production chain. And we are already talking about this. The main point here is that all our solutions and our platforms are going to be free for the farmer, because it's very difficult to show ROI to the farmer using all these tools, okay? If we provide a recommendation to the farmer, okay, and he gets 10% more yield, it's doing an attribution and say, okay, because of my recommendation, he increased yield is very, very difficult. It's impossible. Maybe it's because we had like a, week of rain, before the it's some stage of the season. So what we want to do is to streamline the usage of data across the chain. Right now we are part of a coalition of a few companies in Israel. One of them is Elbit, a big UAV company, global company, mostly for homeland security applications, and now they're going into ag, and few input companies in Israel, also chemical companies, to build this digital platform where we are the cloud SaaS layer of this coalition, and we work with input companies so they improve their products, their chemical product, the seed products, with our data. We're working with farm equipment companies to bring this optimization layer to their customers, okay? Drip irrigation companies sell to masses of farmers, and as Richard say, it's very hard to adopt irrigation technology, even though it's the best, because of knowledge barriers, and we want to overcome that with digital technologies. Obviously, the data can empower financial support for farmers, banks, insurance, companies did that beforehand. CPG companies, food manufacturers, they invest a lot in backward integration with farmers so they can reduce risks on their supply chain. How can we predict quality? How can we predict forecast yield with all this data that we're gathering? And there are multiple cloud applications. We're talking about education, e-commerce, social, okay? This is a key, very easy to do. Connect experts with farmers, with apps, okay? There are many startups who do that. Super important. Decision support systems across scenarios, across verticals, automation and analytics. Why India? I think it's obvious for everyone in this room. The key metric here is the yield gap between farmers. If we can, the most important thing is to apply digital technologies, educate farmers, bring them those capabilities to close the yield gap across crops. And obviously, the scale is something for me, it's very hard to grasp the scale in Indian. We have a couple of thousands, tens of thousands farmers in Israel. We're talking about 200 million employees in ag business in India. So that's that. I'll skip that slide. So our company, in a brief, really tries to bring together engineering, data science, plant science, agronomy, to bridge the digital world into agriculture. We focus on digital cultivation practices, machine learning models for yield prediction and farm decision making, and farm equipment and data integration from multiple sources. We focus on irrigated small, medium farms. Our business model is free apps for farmers and SaaS model for our data platform. We're an early stage company. We piloted in Israel in various crops, vineyards, orchards, greenhouses, and we're collaborating with academia and leading industry organization. We won the AgriVest Impact Award for our tech innovation this year. It was very exciting. It was the Weizmann Institute. And we're currently doing a big round of raising capital. And thank you very much for this opportunity. I'd be happy to take questions and talk to you later on.
Thank you, Ailed. I think it's been very interesting to get an overview and very, very appropriate for this particular conference, what digitization prospects are and possibilities exist. Thank you for that. I'm now pleased to invite Dr. Srinivasu Papula. Srini is with Tata Consultancy Services working on the subject of creating smart villages, or PRIDE, which is their program on progressive rural integrated digital enterprises. I think a very innovative concept. He's a senior, and he has worked as a senior product leader and general manager at Intel Corporation, has been involved as a CEO of starting certain successful startups in the US. And I think this might be one example which might offer us opportunities to follow to bring digitization into agriculture. Srini, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Mr. Singhal. First of all, I would like to thank CII and particularly Dr. Gary Sussman for persistently following up with me to make sure that I turn up here. It's been a very invigorating performance, a conference, and I'm really glad I made it here. So I'll be briefly talking about what we are doing at TCS, and this thing is it's a relatively new program within TCS, but I've been with TCS for the past 6 years. So I just finished the 6th year yesterday, and but the Tata Group per se is extremely interested in agriculture from a social perspective. So it started off from the social angle, particularly after the Vidarbha crisis. So there was a need to do something to alleviate the misery of the farmers. And since then, it's grown out to become this platform. So what we are doing is we are leveraging what are called the digital 5 forces to completely transform how agriculture is being done. So if you've been following the technology landscape, the digital 5 forces are pretty much the cutting edge of technology. So there's social networks, mobility, analytics, cloud, and the Internet of Things. So we are taking the confluence of these forces, converging them into a form factor which can be easily adopted by the masses, and that's how this full platform is being positioned. So we've, as I said, we're just getting started. We have rolled this out to about 200,000 farmers across about 5 states in India, and then by the end of this calendar year, we are looking to hit 1 million. And the good news is, even with minimal technology intervention, we have seen a lot of impact on the farmers. So it just shows that this particular sector is ripe for a lot of technology intervention, and even if we don't do much, it can completely transform the way the farmers are doing things. So our mission is essentially to improve the farmer livelihoods through technology and partnerships. And we are doing this by leveraging the collective power of farmers and creating sustainable ecosystems called prides. So I'll be talking more about prides, but essentially a pride stands for Progressive Rural Integrated Digital Enterprise. And we are looking to make these prides climate smart and market smart. So if you look at a typical farmer's life today, about 90% of the issues for the farmers come from these two areas. So and that's where technology can help a lot. So once we are able to remove the uncertainty in these two particular facets, then we could get into a mode where we have a lot of smart villages across the country. And the whole transformation, we are looking at powering it through this platform, which is essentially what we are working on right now. So the objectives of our particular initiative are, the first objective is to improve the crop production and efficiency. So through what we call a cyclic optimization process. So this process involves a continuous collection of data in real time from the field. This data is analyzed in the back end, and then the intelligence which is gathered from the data analytics is sent back to the field to direct the on-field operations. And it's not just to the farmers. So across the value chain, all the stakeholders involved in this, they get access to this data. And the second objective is to establish linkages across the partnership ecosystem. So, and these two need to go hand in hand. So it's not just, so technology is only one piece of the puzzle. So along with technology, we are looking at creating so the analogy which I will keep giving to my team is, technology is like the fuel, and the ecosystem which we are creating, that's like the vehicle which can really adopt this technology and take it forward. And the three S's which we are looking at for the platform per se are, the first thing is scalability. So we are building out a platform which can potentially reach out to each and every farmer across the globe, starting off with the 140 million farmers in India. And at the same time, farmer A and farmer B, even though they are neighbors, their needs are completely different. So the platform should have the ability to personalize whatever is required for each of the farmers. So that's what we mean by suitability. And the third aspect is sustainability. So we want to help move the farmers away from the dependence on subsidies. So we hope to do that through this self-sustaining, economically viable entities called the prides, which are powered by the technology. So this is just an example of the precision agriculture solution, where essentially it's gathering the data from the field, doing the analysis either at the edge or sending the data through the cloud to the backend, doing a lot of back-end analysis using big data algorithms, and then the intelligence which is gathered is sent back to the various players. And so this is just a pictorial representation. So the circles on top are the various data sources. So we gather the data from these sources, and it's sent to the data analytics center, and the farmer is one of the key consumers of the insight which we get from the data, and you have a whole bunch of other players in the value chain who consume this data. And the whole point of doing this is to ensure that we democratize the information access to the farmers. So a rich farmer here in Punjab or a poor farmer in Telangana, they have equal access to information. So there's nothing stopping the farmers from getting the access to the information. And there are 4 phases in this platform, and these 4 phases roughly mirror the crop cycle. The first phase is what is called the crop planning, wherein so if you look at a typical farmer today in India, there's really no scientific basis in terms of why they are growing the crops. Either it's because the neighbor is doing it, or somebody told them that this is the right crop to sow, or they've been doing it since centuries. So they're just following the tradition. So you have scenarios where in, uh, in places where there's no water, a lot of farmers still stick to paddy, and then they get into this vicious cycle where they're stuck with a lot of debt, and finally they see no way out except for probably committing suicide or migrating to the cities. So this first phase, we are trying to create some sort of scientific rigor wherein we take a lot of macro data as well as micro data in terms of what are the farmer characteristics, and all these are, and then also looking at the market. So what are the market trends? What are some of the needs of the market? So all these aspects are taken in, and then we come up with various options which are presented to the farmer, and associated with each option there's a cost of production and there's an expected return. And once the farmer picks one of the options which are presented, then something called a crop protocol is created. And this crop protocol is what we call the DNA for this complete platform. So just like our DNA has embedded within it a lot of valuable information, this crop protocol has embedded within it has a lot of information which is useful across the value chain and which is useful for the various stakeholders. Unfortunately, because of the size of the farmer, whatever information is there in the crop protocol is not really exciting for the markets. And that's where we get to phase 2, which we call the aggregation and ordering. So, and this is where the concept of the pride comes in. So pride is essentially a social network of farmers. So typical pride, and it's an extension of the FPO, which one of the previous speakers spoke about. And so a typical pride, we have about 1,000 to 2,000 farmers. And once the crop protocol has been created for the individual farmers in the pride, the information is aggregated up across the pride. And this is when it becomes exciting for the market. So suddenly I can give Kaveri seeds an insight into the demand, expected demand for their particular variety of seed in a particular part of the country at a particular time of the year. So same thing we are doing for banks, then insurance companies, and the markets, and so on. And that's where the information within the crop protocol comes in very handy, and then the pride, the intersection of these two entities creates a way for us to essentially democratize the information and make it free access for the farmer. So and then we move on to phase 3. So this is where things are actually happening in the field. So the farmer puts the seed in the soil, and then there's a lot of data which is being collected by the various types of sensors. And the key point to note here is we don't need sophisticated sensors. We've got various types of sensing mechanisms. So we have a bare bones, what we call a rural participatory sensing, where the farmers themselves or the people moving around in the field, they act like sensing agents. They use the app which has been developed to collect information. And even with that information processing, there's still a lot of insight which can be presented. And as the level of sophistication increases in terms of the sensing, the level of accuracy obviously increases. So this sense data is sent back, and then the crop protocol, which was created in phase 1, this is the stage in which it's actually sent back to the farmer, and the farmer just needs to follow the instructions which are given in that. And the pride, since it's a business entity, it has its own people monitoring the farmer's progress and ensuring that they follow whatever has been specified in the protocol. And we've got various other supplementary offshoots of the data processing, like the disease prediction, farm traceability and certification, yield monitoring, impact monitoring, and so on. And each of these, we have rolled it out to various sections of the population. Like, for example, this farm certification, we rolled it out to some of the small tea growers in Assam. And these people, they couldn't adopt something like the global gap because of the huge cost. But with something like this, where they're already collecting the data, we're able to come up with a low-cost way for them to certify their produce. And this was accepted by the markets, and they were able to get about 2 to 3 rupees more per kg just through this simple intervention. And if you look at a typical grower who's growing about 60,000 kgs per season, that immediately doubles or triples their income. So that's the impact of even the small interventions here. So we move on to phase 4, which is the harvest planning. This is where we start, the pride gets closer to harvest, and then it starts working with the various markets. And we're also creating the backbone so that they can interact with the various exchanges. There's a lot of routing and logistics algorithms in play here, wherein we ensure that whatever has been harvested, it's taken to market in the most efficient manner. So all that happens in phase 4. And so those are the 4 phases which we have. And I'll briefly touch upon the pride. So as I said, the pride stands for Progressive Rural Integrated Digital Enterprise. So it's just not technology, it's the intersection of technology, agriculture, and business management. All these 3 forces need to come together, and the whole point of injecting the technology is to make these entities self-sustaining, economically viable entities, so that as time keeps progressing, they can start adopting more and more cutting-edge technologies and become more efficient. So it's just to give you an equation sort of representation. It's essentially you take a social network of farmers, something like an FPO, you inject the technology at the right places, and the result is a pride. So objectives of the prides, I already touched upon this, to move farmers to scientific farming, leverage ICT to achieve economies of scale, and at the same time provide personalized bouquet of services. So with the pride intervention, we can move the farmers from fragmented to aggregated land holdings, traditional to scientific farming, and poor access to better access and right info at the right time. So this is like the takeaway slide, which sums up whatever I've been talking about. And so the circle in the middle, the green oval in the middle is the pride. And underneath the pride, you have the various farmers who are members of the pride. So in the vertical direction, on top you have the various the government agencies, the research organizations, the universities. So essentially, these are the producers of the information which is required by the farmer.